Nothing sells a fight more than beef between competitors. And one thing is certain, before there is war on the mat, cage or ring, there's always going to be a war of words. These words can be personal or to promote the fight. Either way, the trash talk does work. When it comes to trash talking in combat sports, no one does it better than WWE.
And I've been listening to you, and I don't care.
And the UFC. No one can deny that trash talking brings prying eyes into the sport. And recently, there's been some trash talking going on in BJJ.
Joe, you said he knocked your crown off your head?
Yeah, I mean, I used to have the Burger King crowns that fans would bring me just as jokes.
Some have been to promote the fight. Others have been pure dislike.
Some resentment towards him, but I didn't let it carry into the match. And the first.
And some are years of back and forth.
I like him. He's my baby, like I have a lot of love for him.
There's nobody who talks trash more in BJJ than BJJ's finest, Gordon Ryan. And this is why the King began talking trash.
Started talking shit was actually indirectly because of George. because I won.
I would become the opposite of George.
I won my first EBI, and I
What makes it special is that every time he does, he always finds a way to back it up. He is the tormentor-in-chief of the BJJ heavyweight, and I will show you when other fighters decided to talk trash about Gordon and ended up on the wrong side of the scorecard. But first, let me show you a BJJ fighter whose trash talking over the years landed him in a fierce rivalry with the most aggressive fighter in BJJ. Right from the start, AJ Agazarm has always been known to trash talk at every available time he gets. One time he trashed Eddie Bravo and Joe Rogan for not knowing who was the best grappler.
World right now. Joe Rogan and Eddie Bravo don't know jack shit.
Then another time, after getting his ass whooped by Gilbert Burns, he wasn't humble in defeat and even proceeded to call out Gio Martinez. He found his match in Wagner Rocha, although the Gracie Barra protege defeated Wagner in a tightly aggressive battle in the finals of ADCC 2017. This time the tension was higher as the stake was. It was personal. During the match, Wagner didn't give AJ any breathing space, even proceeding to kick him when he turned his back towards him.
He throws a punch. Oh! Wagner just kicked AJ right in the back,
shoving him any chance he got. Wagner won by a decision instead of a DQ, as the fans and Agazarm expected. In response, a disappointed Agazarm expressed his discontent.
Well, we all have joint custody of what happened here. We all, we know what happened.
About the whole issue during an interview. Wagner, in turn, wasn't apologetic about anything he did on the mat. But in the later years, Gordon Ryan gave him a humble pie. Gordon Ryan was short of opponents, and Wagner decided to step up. Gordon, who had held a grudge against Wagner from time immemorial, brought it up in a face-to-face interview. Wagner denied the allegations of poking Gordon's eye during their first match or wearing his crown. He only admitted to knocking the King's crown away from his head and apologized for it.
Would bring me just as jokes, so he would take pleasure in knocking those off or steal.
But this didn't stop the onslaught waiting for him on the mat. Before the match started, Gordon placed the envelope where he wrote down the submission he was going to do in the match. The King gradually broke Rocha and submitted him via the submission he wrote down.
Attack here, slightly off the side, and there is the finish. Gordon Ryan with the submission.
Which was a triangle.
There it is, a triangle with the words, "Who's next?" and no less, signed Gordon Ryan.
But he wasn't able to do that same taunting to his next opponent. This matchup was something different. Gordon Ryan wasn't used to people calling him out, and this time, Pedro Mourinho did. Not only that, he said he was going to submit the King.
Michigan on the right time on my time.
You got a prediction for the match, Pedro?
Guillotine under 20 minutes.
This lit up a fire in Gordon, as he had found a worthy challenger. But as usual, Gordon trash-talked Pedro and said that he would use the match to send a statement to Gordon Ryan's greatest rival, Felipe Pena. fight night came, and Gordon put on a masterclass performance, drowning Pedro in constant pressure. It was too easy for Gordon that. Almost to the halfway point of the bout, Gordon began talking to the commentators.
Pedro's hips off the mat.
And Pedro had to remove his mouthguard
from Gordon Ryan.
You said Pedro just took out his mouthguard.
So he can breathe better.
So he could survive the smothering choke from Gordon Ryan. With less than 5 minutes to go, and seeing he couldn't get the submission he desired, Gordon had settled with a rear naked choke.
Be interesting to ask later on if there was a plan, like, hey, if this doesn't work at the 5-minute mark, we shift.
And during the post-fight interview, he explained what happened.
Congratulations, Gordon, the new Who's Number 1 heavyweight champion. You won by submission out there against Pedro Mourinho. How are you feeling right now?
Well, I was always the heavyweight champion, first of all. Ever since the belt was created, it was always mine. Just Tim was holding it, and then Flo was holding it, but it was always mine.
All this was to prove a point in the scheduled fight between Gordon Ryan and Felipe Pena next month. By this time, Felipe Pena was 2-0 against Gordon, won by submission. And another by decision.
Almost home, and you're the champion. Felipe laughing. 5 seconds left. 3, 2, 1. Felipe Pena.
No one has ever beaten the king twice, let alone submitting him, but Pena has. So he had all the bragging right coming to this matchup. Felipe commended Gordon for improving over the years.
I think he improved a lot. I think I'm gonna beat him tomorrow. So let's find out in one day.
But reinstated that the result won't be different from the past. Gordon Ryan went on about how he was going to defeat Felipe.
Plays bottom position. I'm gonna run past his guard and then just pin him helplessly, chest to chest, for as long as I want, and then let him out of there when he's ready.
And Felipe felt he was delusional and jokingly pretended to have fallen asleep. The banter went on until the end of the press conference.
He's my baby, you know, like I have a lot of love for him. And but sometimes you know when you're
Fight time came and the king did exactly what he said he would do. Although Felipe's guard retention was ranked, more than 44 minutes of defending against Gordon's pressure wore him out, and he tapped to exhaustion. Such is the way when you go for the champion. Jasmine Rocha decided to go all in for the head of Ffion Davies. This was the most buzz a female matchup has received, thanks to the trash talking of Jasmine. Just like her father, Wagner, Jasmine isn't one to back off from a fight, and her tactic of railing up Ffion created a lot of conversations in the BJJ world, and everyone wanted to see what Jasmine had in her arsenal that could dethrone the queen.
Ffion Davis.
You know, it's definitely going to be something that's going to shock the world, you know, when I go out there and dethrone her.
Jasmine said Ffion wasn't the same champion she was before.
You know, and I don't think that she's the Ffion that she was when she got that belt.
And even went as far as saying to Ffion, "How are you going to pass my guard? Knee cut?" And she laughed.
I'm honestly just really curious how she thinks she's gonna beat me, because like I'm really unimpressed. You know, what's she gonna do? Come at me with a knee cut and try to pass my guard with a basic knee cut? I'm curious how she thinks she's really gonna beat me.
Ffion made Jasmine chew on her own words when she also did the knee cut on her.
Because then that's why. Here's that knee cut, Ricardo.
Yep.
Sliced through with that underhook.
For 15 minutes, Ffion dominated Jasmine everywhere.
Continuing to attack from the back, controlling.
She was not even a match for the WNO champion. But in the end, they embraced and made peace. Not everyone loves trash talking. Marcelo Garcia, personally my idol, and Mikey Musumeci prefer the war to be on the mats and respect before and after the matches. Mikey Musumeci lost it once after Gio Martinez frustrated him before, after, and in the fight.
A low-class person, you know, like horrible. These values you learn as a black belt.
With the good, bad, and ugly of trash talk, where do you stand? Do you prefer trash talking as these promote the fight? Or do you prefer opponents to be respectful before and after the fight? Or are you in the middle, where you feel a little of both would do the sport good? Where do you stand? Send your comments down below. We would love to hear from you.